Harley Davidson sends their engineers to our school, Yamaha Champions school, for the last 9 years in a row. We don't care what you're riding. It's all the same idea. 9 years in a row, all the engineers from Harley come to our school.
Yeah, and I know Nick won't say it. Nick tests for magazines. I test for magazines. I test for suspension companies, all because we understand how we go to the brakes and how we release the brakes and how we go to the throttle. So, guys, get on your bikes. Guys and gals, get on your bikes. In neutral, roll your bike back and forth.
Okay.
Roll your bike back and forth. Now, as you roll your bike back and forth, try grabbing 40 points. Try grabbing 40 points.
Oh, yeah.
See why my bike's not going to move.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's not going to move. Now, let's do it again. Roll your bike back and forth. And just start to put those brake pads up against the rotors. So my brakes are on right now, but the bike moves back and forth. That's that first 5% of braking we're talking about. Now we're talking about I can load the tire before I work the tire.
Huh.
This is what's going to allow you to be adjustable. If every time you went to that brake set, 40 points, you've lost that ability to adjust between 1 and 39. That 1 and 39 is what's going to allow you to adjust for grip level, radius, your tire condition, temperature, all those different things on how you initially go to the front brake.
Number 2 reason we crash a motorcycle, we talked about number 1, lack or loss of focus. Number 2 is abruptness. You're gonna man up. You're gonna man up, man. I'm gonna man up. No, not when you're going quick. The quicker you go, the smoother and lighter and more gentle you've got to be. So everybody taking their crashing out. Second way we crash a motorcycle is abruptness. Ken's shoulder. I'm gonna put 10 pounds on it. 10 pounds or 10 pounds. Same, I get to the same pressure, but it's the way we get to it that's got to change in your life. If we change that, you become that incredible rider. You win championships, you ride in Europe, you become that rider you want to be. 10 shoulder breaks at 8 pounds, and every time I go to that, I've broken a shoulder. I crash so quickly, I have no chance of catching it. But if you could become this rider that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you'll feel it 8, and you feel it break, and you become the rider that almost crashes, but doesn't crash. What's the difference in your life between almost crashing and crashing? Yeah, it's everything. On the motorcycle, Ken, what are the differences on the motorcycle?
The differences on a motorcycle are so minute. They're so subtle at that. It's absolutely amazing. 2 quick examples. One, MotoGP rider Bradley Smith, he came to our school twice this year. He actually came once and decided he liked it so much he came back again. What he's working on in his own riding is at 5% of brakes. He has not, even at his level, perfected that initial 5% of brakes, or in his case, how he lets go of that last 5%. So here's Bradley Smith, MotoGP rider. That's what he's working on. Our Harley Davidson engineers. Biggest thing that Harley Davidson engineers are working on are their initial inputs with brake and throttle. That's what they're working on.
Here's what you're going to see in Cycle World Magazine next couple months. I wrote the Pace 2.0, it lasts a little while. And now you're going to see the Brake Light Initiative. I'm talking to the MSF about it, the Brake Light Initiative. Ideally, you can light up your brake light anytime in your ride. You can squeeze on enough brake pressure just to light up that brake pad. Just light up that brake light. A couple of reasons will start to really help you. And we'll get into that as we go along. But that's the Brake Light Initiative. Can you pick up your brake light anytime in the ride? Can you turn in with your brake light on? I'm going to show you why. And this is how we do it, everybody. We don't say you need 100 laps. You need this setup. You need these tires. No, you don't need any of that stuff. You need to pay attention. What are the best riders in the world doing, and why are they doing it? So we're going to be engineers now.
Let's see how this works.
He's the suspension engineer. I'm the tire engineer, and you all are engineers. Believe that or not, you're the engineer.
You're the onboard engineer of your bike. What's the biggest variable on your motorcycle? Your rider, absolutely. So now let's get your brain going on this.
You know, we believe anybody can do this pretty well. We have more faith in our students than our students do. They show up not knowing. We know if you pay attention and you have one thing, desire to learn, you'll get this. So we're coming down into a corner. It's a 20-mile-an-hour corner. We're going to go to the brakes for it because we're going 50. In a corner you need to brake for, this is what we want you to do. So Ken, take us down into the corner.
So as we're approaching this 20-mile-an-hour corner at 50 miles an hour.
When do I brake, Ken?
So let's talk about this. And guys, you don't have to. Let's not have the guys answer this.
Yeah, guys can't answer this.
Because guys,
girls can answer this. They're so much smarter.
I know, it's pretty amazing. When should you go to the brakes? We hear all these different things. When should you go to the brakes? I'll tell you when I go to the brakes. I go to the brakes when I'm scared. I go to the brakes when my comfort level has been exceeded. Exactly. Guys, I know you don't have to say it. I'll say it. We've both ridden some insanely fast motorcycles. well over 200 horsepower motorcycles, and you go to the brakes when you're scared. So now you're coming down this road, and you got a 20-mile-an-hour corner coming up ahead, and you go to the brakes when you're scared. Now I go to the brakes, I apply the brakes, my fork starts to collapse, I'm starting to use up some of my fork travel. What's happening to my tire at this point? Is the contact patch getting bigger or smaller? Bigger, absolutely.
Forks
But
collide.
I've been told, I've read on the internet, and of course if it's on the internet, it's got to be true. Right? I've read on the internet, never use your brakes leaned over. Never use your brakes in a corner. Who's read that? Anybody read that? Yeah,
Do all your braking in a straight line. Who's read that? Let's show you why nothing matters when you're going slow. You can do that, but when you go faster, it gets worse. Because look at what we've got. We got the fork collapsed. We got the front tire loaded, and then what are we told to do, Ken?
Get off the brake before you turn it. So now the fork extends. What happens to the contact patch of the tire? It's smaller.
So there we are. We're gonna ask the tire to work, and we've just unloaded it. You got to start to understand why you're not enjoying your fast motorcycle.
Nick, we just put the bike in the worst possible geometry.
The worst geometry steer. You're just taking away your geometry control. As you go quicker, it gets worse. You can't get out of the C group. You can't enjoy your buddy's fast motorcycle. You hate going downhill. You hate going down the canyon for all these reasons, because look what you're trying to do. You're asking that little bit of rubber to turn now, where we'd like you to change your mind. We'd like you to do what the best riders in the world do. There's no corner on a racetrack for which we use our brakes that we don't tip in with the brakes on. We don't tip in with the brake light on the street. If you go street ride with me, if I'm going to use my brakes, and all my buddies, right, everybody that goes well, they're going to tip in with the brake light on for a couple reasons. Let's look at the engineer. What's the engineer doing?
So here's what the engineer's going to do. We're going to come up to that corner. We use our brakes. We'll talk about how long you use your brakes in just a second. Use your brakes at forks collapses. And now you're going to let off that brake gently. You start to trail that brake off. That's trail braking. Keeping that brake light lit up as you turn in, and now we've got more rubber on the road to make have a bigger contact patch.
It'll change your life. It'll save our sport. It'll save our sport for a couple reasons. Number one, you're turning with more rubber on the ground. Okay, you leave a little bit of brake pressure on, more rubber on. Number two, you're controlling your geometry to turn in on any bike. Everybody, if you just walked up here, Yamaha Champions School, on any bike, you're not controlling your geometry to turn in. And number three, everybody. This is what literally saves your life. It's literally why we have a 46% return rate in our school. You've turned in with your brake, with your pads touching your rotors. Front or rear, mostly front. Turning with your pad touching rotors. As you look through the corner, scanning those eyes, and you see there's a car spun out, and there's a truck in the other lane, and you've got to slow your motorcycle. You've got your pads against your rotors. You can just play with pressure at that point. If you turn into the corner, jumping off the brakes, and turn with your pads off your discs, when you see the problem, it's easy to grab and stab, and you'll start to learn. You'll start to learn. A tire will take an amazing load. It will not take an abrupt load, and let's just prove that. Don't think this is very difficult. This is an abrupt load, and it won't take it, and this is an amazing load, and it will take it, and that's what changes your life. So, brake light initiative. Let's tip in with our brake light on. In a corner you're braking for, pick up your brake light, tip it in with the brake light on.
Let's put ourselves in a position to be adjustable. That brake light, that your fingers come off the brake, now you're no longer in that control. You're no longer using that control. And let's also make something pretty simple. When you're off your brakes going in a corner like that, what happens to your radius? Does it open up or does it close up? Radius opens up, right? So pretty simple. You decelerate, your radius tightens up. You accelerate, your radius opens up. Don't make it more complicated than that.
Well, I've got a magazine from Australia, and the editor's not a road racer. Remember, if you haven't been quick, you can talk about a lot of different things. And the editor talks about, when you get in the corner too fast, pick up your throttle, because the swing arm angle changes and the bike turns better. 100% incorrect, everybody. 100% wrong, and you can prove it to yourselves. It's not these are none of our ideas. We don't have any ego in what we teach. We're just trying to pass it on so we can grow our sport again. Do this. Get in a parking lot, ride in a circle at one lean angle and one throttle setting. That's your radius. You're riding one lean angle, one throttle setting. And there's another word for lean angle, by the way. When our students come to our school, they learn lean angle's what?
Lean angle's risk.
Risk.
How about replace the words lean angle with the word risk? Hey, that guy runs a lot of risk. Or it's raining out. I don't want run a lot of risk today.
So you're turning one, hold that. Now gently accelerate at the same lean angle. accelerate at the same risk level, your forks extend, your mile an hour builds, and your bike runs wider and wider and wider at the same lean angle. Then get back in that same circle, close your throttle, bring your mile an hour down at the same risk level, and the risk level is, everybody, the pipe on my bolt is already dragging, right? The pipe is dragging. Can I lean over further when the pipe is already dragging?
You're done.
No, so how can I tighten my radius? I'm in the corner too fast. How do I tighten my radius? I roll off the throttle, I maybe squeeze on a little bit of brakes. I know I can brake on my bolt with the pegs dragging because I will not lose grip after my pegs drag. How many of you ride a bike that the pegs drag before you lose grip on the tires? Most of us. My FC1, the pegs will drag before I lose grip, so I can use the brakes at any lean angle on my FC1 if I have that smoothness that we talked about. Close your throttle, and your radius tightens up at the same lean angle. And you start to get into this idea that Ken's talking about. Brings us, number one reason we crash, lack or loss of concentration. Number two reason, abruptness. Grabby, stabby, flicky, throwy. None of those verbs work at the limit or in the rain, your choice. And number three, rush in the entrance of the corner. Rush in the entrance of the corner. How many people think I'm going too fast on the straightaway and that's why my corner entrance is rushed? Is that true?
Yeah, rushing that corner entry, thinking that even on the racetrack, thinking we're going to make up time in something that lasts the least amount of time. Thinking we're going to rush the bike in there, not control our speed with the brakes. That's the third reason why we're crashing these things.
So don't get confused. Don't confuse officers of the law that are here. Don't confuse speed and safety. Don't confuse speed and safety. I would give a ticket to a rider that enters the corner like that. Good luck. You hope you slow down. You hope there's no gravel. You hope it's the corner you thought it was. How's hope and change working for us? No, just kidding. Yeah, just kidding. It's good in Texas, isn't it? That's an okay joke in Texas. I mean, watch that.
That joke I would not tell in New York.
Yes, or Oregon or whatever. Everybody, if we roll off our throttles because our brain says slow down, let's pick up some brake pressure. Front or rear, pick up some brake pressure. Get control of your geometry and your speed. Put your pads against your rotors. It changes your life. You'll soon learn. There's no penalty for getting in the corner too slow. Young men of every age, do you hear me? There's no penalty for getting in the corner too slow. So if you roll off the throttle because your brain says slow down, light up your brake light. If you turn in the corner and it opens up, you're in too slow, you drive it out. Next corner, you roll off, you light up your brake light, and it turns sharper, it goes back down around the road you're on, and you've got your brakes on, and you bring your mile an hour down. I'm sorry, what does your radius do when your mile an hour comes down? Tightens up. You prove that in the parking lot. You don't have to listen to us or read that Australian magazine. You proved it, you bring the mile an hour down, and now you fixed the third thing of rushing the corner entry.
So we've given you some pretty good takeaways. We got to load the tire before we work the tire. How we initially use those brakes. Where we're crashing our motorcycles, right? We're number one, number two, number three. How long should you use your brakes?
Oh,
is it some magical thing where?
Yeah.
Hey, I wait till that sign.
What's the equation on that? What's the equation on that? I went to university. Scott Russell, world champion. He went to 5 years of university to figure out how long to use the brakes, the pressure of the springs.
Actually,
hang on. And it was how that tire compound affects the pavement. Excuse me, it's talking about engineering.
Yeah. Well, you're wrong.
Oh.
So, Scott Russell didn't finish high school.
Huh.
Scott Russell realized that I'm going to use my brakes till I'm happy with my speed and direction. That's pretty much how simple he's going to use this.
I'm sorry, how long are you using your brakes?
He used his brakes till he's happy with his speed and direction.
Wow.
And now you've built that technique of how you go to the brakes so you can be adjustable. Goes to the brakes, stays with him till he's happy with his speed and direction.
Everybody, if you're done doing that and that, because it loads the tire too quick, if you just showed up, 100 points of grip on the tire, it's only got 100% of what it does. Does it make sense to anybody sitting here to flick your bike in the corner? Flicking is adding lead angle points, the same as stabbing or grabbing is adding throttle and brake. So let's start to turn our bike in a linear fashion. If you don't believe us, watch Grand Prix. So think about this. If Ken's advice, use your brakes till you're happy with your speed. If you're going to turn your bike into the corner in a linear fashion, you can give away brakes in a linear fashion. As you add lean angle, you're giving away brake pressure, giving it away, trailing it off in there. If you're leaned over at 99 points of lean angle, your foot peg is dragging. How many points you got left for brakes? 1. If you can leave that 1 point of brakes on, your bike keeps turning. You miss the truck in your lane, you miss it by 1 foot. Have you missed the truck? That's right. For all you that race and do track days, we both held track records in our lives. The difference between a track record and a high side is infinitesimal. Yeah. And that's how we teach this sport. We teach the sport on fastersafer.com. At the Yamaha Champions School, we bring 20 people in. We beat on you really hard. I bring in the 6 best instructors, including Scott Russell. We film you. we beat on you, we realize it's got to be in this finite amount.
Yeah, Nick,
You leave that brake light on.
We're teaching things for when the risk level is really high. When there's drama, it's raining out. Riding somebody else's different bike. Suddenly you think it's a 90-degree corner, now it's a 270-degree corner. That's what we're teaching things for.
How about this? You leave the office, you walk out to your bike, it starts to sleet, and now all of a sudden, this is 98% of this tire's lead angle grip. You only got 2% left for brakes. If you grab 10, you fall down, you're in the hospital telling people it was sleeting, but look what you did. You grabbed 10. We're done with grabbing, stabbing, period. If I were to ride with one of my graduates in their car, and they stabbed the brakes or throttle, I would say, you just wasted all your money at our school. Wasted it. It's got to permeate your life. You got to become that person that loads things up, etc. Let's do 4th reason we crashed and
Yeah,
we're done.
we for some reason, some of us talk more than others. So we always end up running out of time with these things.
I got a lot to say about this sport. We can save it. We can save our own sport. I see it in our school. We have rare crashes, yet we're hauling ass. So everybody, it's about controlling this whole deal. 4th reason we crash a motorcycle, repeating a mistake. Repeating a mistake. You're having trouble on your downshifts, you'll fall down to the rate of lean angle. You're grabbing and stabbing, it will get you in the gravel. You get to a gravel parking lot and you grab the brakes, you tip it over and you break your lever off and everybody runs over. Are you okay? Are you okay? Right? All the embarrassment of it. Now your bike's sitting there all damaged because you grabbed and stabbed. So repeating a mistake. If you sense a mistake in your riding from listening to us, and we're trying to present it, what are the best in the world doing, best in the nation, fix it, or you're going to hurt yourself guaranteed.
So to close up here, because our man Pat here is telling us we're about out of time. Yeah, exactly. Want to get more information? You like what we're saying? FasterSafer.com. You can also find us Yamaha Champions School. Look for some pretty big announcements with what Nick and I are going to be doing that in the next few months. Nick, you have some books for sale, I think?
Got some books for sale. You can see me over here. I can send it to you in the mail with a signature if you'd like. I'll do that. But everybody, Ken Hill, Nick Ienatsch, Yamaha Champions School, FasterSafer.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.